As an event producer, you are responsible for the welfare of your audience. Part of that is that you need to deal with medical facilities at your event. Now, I can only advise you to speak to professionals on this. So make sure you speak to a medical facilities company that has experience at working at events, because they can tell you exactly what you need. So for example, how many nurses do you need? How many physicians do you need? How many first aiders do you need? But also about the facilities. So for example, how many treatment rooms do you need? Do you need a chill out room? Do you need an ambulance on site? This is something that this is information that you will get from them. Now, have a look at event safety, guys, because they will give you a guide on how many ambulances and how many physicians you actually need, because this depends on how many people you have on site. But again, this is a guide. It depends per region, per area where you are. So you need to speak to your local authorities, but also, most importantly, to professionals in the medical field, because they can advise you on what it is that you need to have on site. This might sound a little bit vague, because you might think, well, why don't you just tell me exactly what I need? I can't give you a straight answer, because it really depends per event and per region, per country where you are. So you need to really discuss that with professionals on site. To give you an example, I worked at one of the events, this was back in the Netherlands, where there was a discussion in the planning process whether there should be an ambulance on site, yes or no. And the decision eventually was made not to have an ambulance on site, because there was a hospital nearby, and it was easier for an ambulance to be standby at the hospital rather than to be standby on site. Remember that if you have an ambulance on site, that will cost you money as well. So from a financial point of view, it might be better to have to use the facilities of a nearby hospital. But again, this really depends on what your local authorities tell you to do. So make sure you start with planning your medical needs and your medical facilities very early on in the planning process. Don't leave this until, you know, close to your event date. Make sure you have a proper plan in place.